Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Lucas, and I wanted to make a video today debunking the top 5 testosterone myths that I come across online on pages, forums, all over the place. I just kind of want to address and talk a little bit about these. So the first and the foremost being, does testosterone make you gay? I see this all over the place. Surprisingly, a lot of people actually believe this. I just have a few things to note here that, like, first and foremost, like, sexuality is very fluid. It can change at multiple points in your lifetime, and especially for trans folks, I feel like this changes, with transitioning. So like if you were pre-T, and the world perceives you as a female, and you develop a relationship with a man, then you're technically now into a heterosexual relationship, right? And with that, I think you lose a lot of your queerness and a lot of your transness. So it just becomes really difficult because you're thrown into this heteronormative kind of world, and it invalidates your identity, which I think it turns off a lot of people because of that. For me, prior to T, I had no interest in dating a man whatsoever, just because I felt like if I were to do that, then I'm a female and I'm dating and I'm very heteronormative. Whereas now where I'm pre-T and the world perceives me as, the identity that I identify with, which is a male, then it's much more easier and I'm much more open to the idea, right? Like, I don't know if I would romantically, date a man, but I definitely think physically there's a high possibility of it because I'm not closed off to it anymore. Obviously this varies person to person. There's some people that don't ever feel these feelings, but for me, I think it's very fluid, and I think once you are much more comfortable, it becomes much more easier. So the next one I want to address is, does T make you taller? Does it make your hands grow and your feet grow? I was wondering this a lot prior to T, and I wish someone would have just directly addressed it. It doesn't. Unfortunately, if you're past like your puberty, like growth spurt era, you're not gonna really see any changes. The change I've seen on my hands, they're more veiny, more masculine looking, but aside from that, my height hasn't changed it, or my feet haven't grown. But lucky, if you're still young and you're still within that range of puberty, you can have your potential growth for your height and like your feet, and it's just like if you normally would have been cis-born. So one that I think is really important is, does testosterone make you aggressive? A lot of guys say, oh, I'm much more aggressive, I'm much more this now, all of these things, and I think it's false. I think a lot of it's in your head, right? It's like, wow, I'm a T, I'm a man now, I'm working out and all this stuff. But I think the major part is that, like, while you're taking testosterone and your body's adjusting, you have all these hormonal shifts within your body. And that doesn't necessarily make you aggressive, but it does produce a lot of mood swings. So, that's what happens to me sometimes when I'm low on T, and it's a day before my shot. I can get very moody, I can get depressed, I can get anxious, I can get aggressive, but that's just like a hormonal imbalance, But like once you're on T and like you're taking T regularly, you don't really get this macho, aggressive, like misogynistic, like kind of persona whatsoever. I think that's a lot in people's heads and just like with culture around masculinity, man, but it doesn't directly link to taking and injecting testosterone. So the next one doesn't necessarily directly is linked to injecting testosterone, but it's just like an overall kind of myth that cis men, anybody has, which is, the shaving make your stubble grow in thicker. It doesn't really make your hair thicker, but it does stimulate the hair that you already have. So, it will arrive and appear and feel thicker, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's actually thicker. The only reason why it feels thicker is that, like, when you grow out your beard, the hair here is really thin, but if you keep shaving it over, like a large amount of time, the end will just become more coarse and it'll short, so you can just feel that, which means that it'll feel thicker, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's actually much thicker. So it's not really gonna fill in. You just might feel a little bit more when you touch your face. So the last one that I have for you guys is, does testosterone get rid of your breast tissue? The answer is yes and no. Yes, because it decreases a little bit, but no, because on the large scale, if you have like a large or medium-sized chest, you're gonna have to have surgery to get rid of that. You can obviously, and I've seen this, just work out, and if you have a smaller chest, you might be able to get away with it and just have to have like minor adjustments and not a major surgery. But for the most part, if you have a large chest, you're gonna have to have surgery, just because testosterone cannot reduce that amount of fat. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope I debunked and helped anybody out there who had, maybe some misconceptions about any of these things. If you have any questions or any other video suggestions, as always, feel free to leave it in the comments below. See you guys in my next video. Take it easy.